Well, Anita, thank you so much for being on the Entrepreneurial Success Podcast. I'm really excited to have you here. Today, we're going to talk all about video marketing and the importance of it. So I'm really excited to talk to you about that because I love doing videos. I know it's not for everybody, but we're going to dive a little bit deeper into that today. Before we get started, why don't I just hand over to you where you can introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what you do?
Sure. Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm Anita and I own FDS Creatives, and I focus on video marketing and social media strategy. So I help business owners harness the power of video and turn that into all of their content for social media. Really what I help people do is create the opportunity to bring in more leads into their business. And we do that by positioning their videos on YouTube and then using that content across other channels.
And I find it fascinating because YouTube and video marketing is definitely becoming a better source for online businesses in particular, or for any business, but more for the online versions in order to attract their ideal clients.
Yes.
And I know we're going to dive into that in a lot more detail. But the one thing that always fascinates me is everybody's success story. And I know you've got a fascinating story as well to share.
Sure.
How did you get started in the whole, starting your own business, and how did that journey transform to where you are now?
Yeah, well, when I had my son in 2016, I really noticed a lot changed in my life and what my goals were and what I was really interested in focusing my time and efforts on. And really what I wanted to do was be with him. And so I'm medically trained and really had thought that I would spend my career full-time in medicine. And then, as things changed after my son, I really started to picture, well, what skills do I currently have and what could I do? And so when I was in college, part of how I paid for tuition was making YouTube videos about how to put on makeup and do beauty, which is funny because I really don't wear a lot of makeup now. But it was a great opportunity to be able to help others, and those skills of video editing and positioning videos online, as well as growing a following. Back then it was on Twitter was really the thing. I knew how to do those things. So I started helping other business owners, and that really has grown my business over the last several years, because here we are in 2020 and things have grown significantly. So.
That's fascinating. But also, all those years ago, you already kind of saw the potential of making videos and putting it on certain channels in order to attract those clients to you. But now that's kind of blown completely out of proportion. Everybody's doing YouTube videos. Everybody's doing any other videos on their websites, etc., and all other platforms in order to attract their ideal clients and customers. But the fact that you've already kind of seen that working so early on, started building up those skills and take you to where you are now, where you can fully flourish with that and use it in your own business, is fascinating. So talk to me a little bit about your business today as it stands, because obviously, you're now doing the marketing for people. So how does your business stand at the moment, and what kind of functionalities do you have?
Sure. So like I said, I help people with video marketing. So at various stages of that video marketing and social media strategy. For some people, I help them figure out what videos to make, help them create them, edit them, get them seen on YouTube, and then repurpose them. That would be kind of my more full service offer. And then in smaller parts, I work with business owners to come up with that business strategy to help them increase visibility and increase leads, as well as helping with smaller projects like social media management and video editing.
Yes. And I think that's kind of like links in a little bit into what we're going to talk about, because you're going to dive into a little bit deeper into video marketing and why it's so important. So for those of you listening, if you're just starting out a business, or if you're already running a business and people have been saying that video marketing is one of the ways to actually really get more visibility for your business, but also to help attract those ideal customers or clients. Yes, there's so many ways for us to make videos, but if you don't have a strategy, it's not going to really have a really significant purpose. And that's why I'm so excited to have Anita here, because Anita, I think one of the first things that we know about video is it kind of builds that like, know, and trust factor. But why don't I hand over to you and you just talk it through with us?
Sure. So I do want to share, to understand how you could become like, known, and trust through video, kind of how we position these videos. So the reason that YouTube is such a great avenue for your videos rather than social media is it gives your videos the opportunity to be found via search, whereas everything on social media is working on the idea that we're trying to focus on interruption. And when you're creating videos and you spent all the hard-earned time, I'm not saying don't put them on Facebook and Instagram, but I want what you created to get the most life. And part of how we do that is by linking it to a long-term search. So you do that by titling the video appropriately, also making sure that it has a good description. YouTube cares about two things: click rate and watch time. So you want to make sure that you have a nice thumbnail for people to click on, and you have an engaging video for people to watch. So all of those are key things to kind of getting it seen. Once people find you via search, then they can get to know you. And that is the power really of that video, is being able to use that video to bring in more leads to your business. So as you're creating videos and they're being found via search, it's the fastest way for somebody to get to know you, because so much of our communication isn't just what we say or write in a post, but it's also our hand gestures, how we're excited about what we're talking about, inflections in our voice. This is all part of our communication. And so as we're sharing those things within video, people can really see that genuine excitement that you have about what you do, as well as can see maybe uniquely how they relate to you differently than, somebody else.
Yeah.
So it really is amazing.
Oh my gosh. And I love how you're saying that, especially the difference, between posting your videos on social media versus YouTube. I know with social media, obviously it's about the feed, and you're saying it is about, the interruption, so to speak, on people going through their feed, where YouTube is the search platform, really, where it's based on keywords, SEO, those kind of things, which is amazing. Now, the other thing that you're saying, which is so important, is the kind of factor that people can see you, they can feel your energy going and watching one of your videos. And that was partially one of my decisions when I did my podcasting, is the first couple of podcasts that went out was only an audio, but then I realized how important it is for people to see the conversation happening between people when I'm doing these interviews. And people see your face, they see how excited you get when you talk about video marketing. And that's important. That's kind of what you want to get across to people. So making these videos as well available on YouTube for these recordings for my audience, I think was a vital step for the Entrepreneurial Success podcast. So from my point of view, I can completely relate to that. But just for the audience, this doesn't just have to be recordings where you're having interviews. This can be any content where you yourself just talk to the camera and you're sharing your content. And I think this also works a little bit hand in hand with content repurposing, which I know you spoke about earlier on when we had a first chat. Talk to us a little bit about that, because I think this is one of those kind of key moments where people would go, oh, I didn't know I could do that.
So the positioning your video appropriately is obviously important. But then once that video is created, you want to drive traffic to YouTube to get those views. And part of how you're going to get people to watch your video is by repurposing your content across your social media channels. So for my social media, I am not creating unique content to go onto Instagram and Facebook. I'm creating YouTube videos where then what I've shared in those YouTube videos is becoming content on my social media. So if you only have time to spend time on one, pick the one that's actually going to be evergreen and search related content. And I think that's something a lot of people shift, and they really focus maybe just on social. As somebody who does social media strategy, I absolutely see the benefit of social media, but it can't be your only thing, right?
Yeah.
All of the great industry leaders that we have, they use social media to leverage their key information that they were giving in another form. So when you then have that content, you're then able to repurpose it. What I mean by that is take smaller pieces and recreate or repackage those pieces. So one YouTube video, for instance, for my clients, I offer done for you content repurposing. They might do one video that turns into 2 to 3 video clips, 2 to 3 of their Instagram stories, 4 to 6 social posts that they can use on Instagram and Facebook. It might become a blog, a couple of emails, and maybe we can even take the audio and make it the podcast, just depending on what they have, creating a LinkedIn article related to that topic. And it gives them that feel that they're everywhere, but they're not everywhere. They are just really on YouTube.
Yeah.
And that is just leveraging the power of what you've created to be the most places that you can. It's really making the most with the least.
Yes. I love what you're saying, because it makes me think in so many ways that even though once I've done the podcast, I repurpose that content and I put it on social platforms, but maybe I didn't do enough of it.
Yeah.
I should maybe use little clips from the YouTube video and repurpose that throughout. And now that you've mentioned it, I know for a fact I'm not doing that enough. So yes, people see and know that I've got a podcast and they know that there's a video available, but maybe not on all the platforms. So yeah, that definitely opened up my eyes. I mean, when I said getting an aha moment from you, that was mine for now.
So one thing I'll also tell you, remember that when you're sharing more succinctly across the platforms, you're actually building authority. So people may understand what it is that you're saying, but when you're saying it more and saying it louder and saying it in different forms, it's going to give the audience the opportunity to really learn what it is you're saying.
Yeah.
As you and I both know, right, we can't just post something one time on Instagram and then all of our audience knows what that thing is. They don't. If you're doing a good job, maybe 10% of your content on social is getting seen. And that's if you did a really good job positioning. So being sure to really leverage that. And then the other thing, repurposing it like onto your blog and onto making sure it's on YouTube as well as on LinkedIn. It's really helping with SEO.
Yeah.
And so, which is search engine optimization. So it's still adding to that searchability. So that's giving you the opportunity to really be found by new eyes without paid traffic.
And that's fascinating, because it's like you say, you've got one piece of content, one video, and you just use it on so many other platforms, just getting it out there. So like you're saying, to people, it looks like, oh my gosh, she's everywhere. She's on all the platforms. Wherever I look, she's there.
Right.
Well, actually what you've done is you've just had one video and you just literally just send it out to all these different platforms and just made it available there, bringing people back then again to the YouTube channel that you've created.
And to make it a little bit more full circle to kind of understand how does this play out in a marketing plan. So my clients who are doing this, they're creating 4 videos a month and they create that content in less than 2 hours. And that's becoming all of their social content, all their emails. We even put them on Pinterest. It's allowing them to be able to really focus on their marketing for a short amount of time. It then opens up the time so they have time to do all the things that we need to do to grow the business and to, you know, still be there for dinner.
Yes. Very important.
Yeah.
Talk to us a little bit about YouTube then, because I think some people kind of get scared about YouTube and putting their content on there, because you need to think about the title, you need to think about the keywords, the description. And I think that kind of becomes a little bit overwhelming for those who are not too familiar with YouTube, but for those who want to start and really make an impact through YouTube and through creating video content. What kind of suggestions can you give regarding the whole using YouTube as a billboard?
Sure. So the first thing you want to ask yourself is, what is your ideal client typing into Google that you want to be found on the other end of that search. That gives you a key as to what your video should be called, because ultimately, if you title your video, "Watch This," nobody's typing "watch this" into YouTube to try to find, you know, your video about your business and how you can serve. But they are typing in what their problems are. They are typing in questions. So recent videos that I've done is, what is content repurposing? Why do you need social media for your business in 2020? These are titles that are banked on the fact that somebody's typing that into search. And currently 34% of my traffic is coming from people searching.
That's amazing. And I think that is really something that people need to think about as well, because the title, I find, is one of the most important aspects, not just for search engines, but also that's kind of like a hook, where if people see that kind of title on your video, they go, "Oh, that's me. I need to check out this video." And I don't know if you use specific tools in order to check to see what titles are really got a good rating, what titles are really good in order to have for videos.
So if you're wanting to dive in a little bit more to the strategy, TubeBuddy and Keywords Everywhere are great, as well as Answer the Public, which gives you an opportunity to type in an idea, and then it gives you all kinds of questions to figure out how to answer. And those are great options for you. And then the Google search bar is honestly helpful, because it will predictively try to finish your sentence. And so that's giving you what the top things that have been searched are.
That's amazing. Sorry, did you say it's Keywords Everywhere is the one tool that you're using?
Yeah, it's a Google Chrome extension.
Okay. Sorry, I'm just making notes.
TubeBuddy and Google Chrome both have, the Keywords Everywhere do have a cost to them. Okay. So if you're just getting started, I don't think everybody needs that. But if you're trying to grow, that would be a good next step.
Amazing. So TubeBuddy, Keywords Everywhere, and obviously the easiest one, which is the Google search bar.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Now, talk to us a little bit as well about the kind of setup. So I know on YouTube, obviously you'll upload your video, you need to put in a title, description. Is there anything that people need to know about the description? Do they need to think about keywords in there as well in order to make it more searchable?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. You want to make sure that your description does have keywords, and the YouTube algorithm actually looks at the first 20 characters of that description.
Oh, wow.
So you want to make sure that is providing that information about what the video is about. Don't use that to put your Instagram link. Put your Instagram and your Facebook and all your social media links past that marker, because that's going to give you really everything you put there is feeding into the algorithm of that video to be found. So you want it to be as clear about what the video is about and the type of people that this video could be for.
That's fascinating. See, I didn't even know that part. I'm learning so much from you today. That's incredible. Okay, so after you've put in your description, obviously then they ask you to obviously decide what kind of keywords you want to use. Now, I know that there's sometimes questions whether you've got one word or do you have long keywords that you use. From your kind of experience, what would you say is the rule of thumb, and what is the best way maybe to go with the keywords?
Yeah, really the long tail keywords are going to give you usually the most amount of search, because you're really trying to balance between not just that you have a word people are searching for, but what is the search pool that you're searching for. It kind of goes back to that idea is that you can be like the small fish in the big pond, or you can be the big fish in the small pond.
Yes.
And adding the longer tail keywords kind of gets you to be that bigger fish in the smaller pond. Yes.
So long tail keywords is definitely the way to go. And I think there was only a limit on YouTube as to how many keywords you can put in. Is that correct?
So tags that you're putting in, and it's 500 characters.
500 characters. Yes. Okay. No, that is really, really interesting. Now, I've got a separate question for you, because this is something that I've seen over a broad range of my students in particular. And that is that they really see the benefit of doing videos, and they really want to do videos, but there's two things stopping them. First one is perfectionism, because they feel the video is going to be perfect before they put it out into the world. But then they also have this fear of the visibility, fear of being on video and being out there available on the internet. Yeah. And I'm sure you've come across that as well. Do you have any tips that you can provide the audiences to just, you know, maybe stop the perfectionism, but also getting over that fear?
Yeah. So I'll share with you that in 2019, the best type of video was actually a chatty, informal video. That's what people enjoyed the most. And what we do know is statistically that people who watch a video about your content are more likely to buy after that video. They're also more likely to watch more of your videos and search for more of your content. Especially as in 2020, people's attentions are a lot shorter. They're more likely to watch a short video than read your long blog post. So understanding that is kind of the case is important. But ultimately, you know, if you look at, I'll use Beyonce as an example because most people know who she is. She actually tells herself that she is Sasha Fierce when she's getting on stage. You can pretend you're playing a part in these videos. It doesn't, when you can emotionally detach from the video and what it looks like is actually the best because you'll be the most relaxed and you're going to be able to share the most easily about what it is that you do. So those would be some key things. The other thing is people want videos to look polished, and so making sure you have a good light. I'm using a ring light here for those who are watching this on video, but if the sun was up and in front of any open window is a great option. Your car is actually a good place to film. I know that sounds strange, but you're essentially sitting in a light box, so you can look great there. And then also know that there are videos that are created that don't have a person on them. So if you look at businesses who have actually created a character to follow versus actually having that, Mickey Mouse is a great, easy option, right? Walt wasn't actually in the videos as much more about the mouse, and you can have something like that as well. But if you let fear hold you back, right, if you don't invest in bringing video to your business in some way, in 2020, I'm afraid that you will be left behind in the marketing world. And the reality is that every platform is preferring video over anything else. And the other thing that you really need to know is that if you're not creating videos of some sort, you won't be seen. Facebook has predicted at some point that their platform will be all video. And they just rolled out Facebook Watch, right? Yes. And we're seeing they preference a lot of things related to video, whether live or recorded. Other things that know that your audience will appreciate getting to see you at different stages of your comfortability. So if you go back and look at my first YouTube channel, YouTube video up there, you can see, you know, it's not as relaxed and polished and together. It lets your audience know that they can then do this too when they feel comfortable to dive in. You know, it doesn't have to be perfect. There is nothing that will be perfect. Even if you hire the best of video editors and videographers, it might be really great and seemingly minimally flawed, but it could always be improved. Yes. And so ultimately, video has really been a game changer for my business, and I would want that for you.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for saying that as well. And I can relate to it because when I started my first videos, oh my gosh, I was so stressed out. I think I had like Post-its all over trying to make sure that I wasn't missing any of the content. And I started this bad thing actually in the beginning where I had every word for word written out as the way I should say it when I started my videos. Oh my goodness. And I used to get so stressed out and I had to take videos again and again and again. So much so that I felt I was never going to get just 1, 2 or 3 minute video done. But then I realized that I'm making a big mistake. I should just relax, talk about my content naturally rather than feeling I've got to read off a script. And things just started taking natural progression from there on, where I started getting a lot more comfortable. I was a lot more relaxed. I didn't worry about the perfectionism. And yeah, it's exactly like you. If you look at my first videos, oh my gosh, you'll see I was a lot more stretched and I was a lot more stiff when I was talking.
Yeah.
But yeah, over time you start relaxing and it becomes so natural. Just like I said, it's like having a conversation, each of us having a cup of coffee across the table from each other. And that's it. That's what it should really be
Sure.
about.
One thing I'll say for people who feel afraid of just talking naturally, they want that script. Don't feel required to record your video all in one take. You can record your video in small clips where all you have to remember is like 2 lines. Say that really good, and then you can edit out the gaps. Actually, that's how I create my YouTube videos, to make sure that I hit on the key points, and also that I do some things with the editing that need me to move in the frame. I record it in clips and edit out.
Yes. So. And that is something that I find as well, which is a lot easier. So when you're doing clips where you're moving around, it makes it easier when you start framing them and editing them. So it looks in one smooth kind of flow almost, where actually people don't realize that there was like 5 or 10 minute breaks in between all the shots.
No, they don't know.
And that's the best part. When you have a good editing software, you can absolutely, just make it so much easier for yourself as well. So you have that kind of option. So when you do the recordings, you don't have to be perfect in any way or any form. Oh my gosh, Anita, this has been fantastic. I really got some great pointers from you as well. So thank you so much. Before we conclude with everything, you obviously have a checklist, a fantastic freebie that you want to give away to the audience.
Sure.
Why don't you just talk to the audience and tell them a little bit about this checklist and what they can get from it?
Sure. So if you're just getting started on YouTube and you've never created a YouTube channel and you are ready to dive in, but you don't know where to start, this is the guide for you. It's going to allow you to get started on YouTube. And so you'll find that at www.fdscreatives.com/start YouTube. I know that the link will be in the description for you. If you're already on YouTube and you're somebody who is ready to take it to the next level with that content repurposing, then I have a list of 25 ways to repurpose your content. Go to www.fdscreatives.com/25 ways, and that's going to give that to you, because ultimately, no matter what stage you are in your business, if you're just getting started or ready to take it to the next level, I am passionate about helping you and making sure that you're able to make the most of your video and social media content.
That is amazing. Thank you so much for making that available. So for the audience, what we're going to do is both of those links will be below in my show notes. And then also I'm going to have Anita's website there. So for those of you who want to reach out to her, if you've got any more questions, if you need a help even to, repurpose your content, because that was a big takeaway for me, then by all means, reach out to Anita, ask her for help. She is more than happy to help you out in any way she can. Anita, thank you so much again for coming and sharing all your years of knowledge and experience with us. It's been fascinating. I'm going to go to my YouTube channel and go and tweak a couple of things now. So I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for your time and being on the podcast.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.